Da Vinci Tree parents and guardians. It's me, Matt Roll, principal of the school. The other day I wrote a letter about discipline and Da Vinci Tree. Now, we all know that many of us are very busy. We all have kids running around, that's why we're in this school. So several staff members asked me to read the letter out loud and make a video for our community to make the message easier to get across. So that's what we're going to do today. Again, this is Discipline and Da Vinci Tree. So as the school principal, I try to make myself as accessible as possible to all of our parents and students. Even so, I know that I'm only one man, and many of our parents are too busy to speak to me in person. To compensate, I make sure we send out regular school-wide newsletters to keep everyone informed. These newsletters are put together by myself with contributions from our team. We try to keep them fun and include pictures of our kids doing all sorts of neat things. Sometimes, however, I feel that it is important for me to be a bit more formal and personal, and this is one of those times. You may not know this, but Da Vinci Tree has a reputation for being one of the strictest schools in the state of Arizona. In the middle of the last decade, the state revealed that on an average year, between 400 and 800 students are expelled from all public schools statewide. I found this interesting as Da Vinci Tree alone expels between 4 and 7 students per year, at least we have for the last 3 years. This year, 5 students have been expelled. Now, assuming the numbers haven't radically changed, that means that our small school could account for a full 1% of all the expulsions in our state. Statistically, we may be the strictest school in Arizona. We proactively monitor our kids to be able to teach respect and empathy, to counter bullying and violence. In the upper grades, we discuss topics like internet literacy and consent to help our kids avoid harassment. This past week, Da Vinci Tree went through a drug search that produced multiple vaping devices with both THC and flavored nicotine. Especially now, it is important for us to remember why Da Vinci Tree is the way it is. Why is the school so strict compared to other schools around Tucson? First, any discussion of this topic would be incomplete without reviewing the school's basic discipline system. So what is the discipline system for Da Vinci Tree? The vast majority of corrections that happen at Da Vinci are done within the classroom. These are regular occurrences that may happen multiple times in a single lesson. As a school with many gifted educators, our administration allows each lead teacher to formulate a classroom management plan that they feel works best with both their personality and their students. These plans change year to year depending on the teacher in the class. This flexibility in teaching is a big reason why many teachers prefer to work at Da Vinci. Rather than giving mandates to our classrooms, we work with them to develop systems and programs that work for them. For our only requirement in this area, we demand that our students have a respectful and nurturing environment in their class. It would be an exaggeration to say that we always accomplish our goal. Especially with new lead teachers, finding this balance can often be difficult. Even so, our school is dedicated to the proposition that amazing educators deserve a place to try out new and innovative best practices to meet the changing needs of our students. Stodgy policies that require administration approval over small changes in the classroom stifle talented teachers. We want our staff to love teaching our children, and to that end, we give them more freedom and less red tape. Occasionally, a student's behavior exceeds the parameters of what can be and should be expected to be handled by a classroom team. In these circumstances, administration is called in to take care of the issue. If the behavior is bad, but barely bad enough to be handled by school leadership, administrators will often use the same tools the classroom teams use, which is detention. Detention and suspension are different in 2 key ways. First, detentions do not go on any official state records. They happen in the school, and they may be accompanied with a write-up, but they are not reported to the Arizona Department of Education, or ADE, unless ADE specifically reaches out to us for behavior records. Suspensions, on the other hand, are supposed to be logged into the school student information system, or SIS, which is then automatically sent to ADE. Our school's SIS is Infinite Campus. Infinite Campus tracks all our attendance and behavior information, as well as our gradebooks. Second, detentions do not contribute to Da Vinci Tree's 5-strike system. In this way, they are more of a warning. Explaining the five-strike system involves discussing the school's administration. Now again, when a student's behavior rises above the level of a classroom teacher to find manageable, administration must step in. It is at this level that suspensions are exercised. While a teacher or TA can recommend a suspension, they must have the approval of an administrator such as the principal or our office manager, Ms. Barbero, before it becomes official. Suspensions are mostly in school. The reason for this is simple. Many kids want to get suspended so they don't have to be in school. It's like a vacation for them. When a suspension means sitting all day with your head down and doing work, it gives kids a much larger incentive to behave. Certain behaviors warrant out-of-school suspension for practical reasons. If a child is being suspended for being violent or for bullying their classmates, we automatically make this an out-of-school suspension for the benefit of the other students. If a student is being bullied or they have to witness two of their classmates get in a fight, they deserve to go to school the next day knowing that the bully or the fighters won't be there to bother them. This helps kids feel confident that the school actually cares about them and is taking action. Further, it also gives the offenders time to cool off. Now, suspensions accumulate on an annual school year basis and increase with severity as serious rule breaking continues. We refer to this as the five-strike system. Strike 1 is suspension for 1 day. Strike 2, suspension for 3 days. Strike 3, suspension for 5 days. Strike 4, suspension for 10 days. And then strike 5 is expulsion. Research shows that children must have multiple chances to try and fail. Mistakes are a necessary part of maturity. We feel that this five-strike system is patient and accommodating enough to allow our students the freedom to grow from their mistakes. At the same time, though, if a child is not willing to change their bad behavior, it is unfair for all the other children to have to live with it indefinitely. The five-strike system protects our children from individuals who treat others disrespectfully and refuse to change. But for every rule, there is an exception. There are times when I feel it is both necessary and appropriate to skip over the five-strike system and go straight to an expulsion. We also have a counterbalance to my authority in this matter. If a student is ever expelled outside of the five-strike system, their parents always have the option of petitioning our board of directors during a board meeting to have my expulsion overturned. Accordingly, I use this authority extremely sparingly. I have no problem sharing the rationale behind my decisions to go straight to an expulsion. While uncommon, these situations have broadly fallen into three main categories. There's malicious and excessive violence, selling, providing, or otherwise facilitating substance abuse among students, and finally, malicious or intentional sexual harassment. Malicious and/or excessive violence is different than your average playground tussle. A normal fight between two kids at school usually starts with a mutual disagreement. This could be from a foul on the basketball court or a disagreement over snacks. Kids involved in these normal fights will typically get a detention or a suspension depending on how far the kids escalate before they're stopped. Alternatively, malicious and excessive violence could be when a child, unprovoked, attacks another child with multiple kicks or punches with the intention of hurting them. This could also include an over-the-top retaliatory attack for a nonviolent act. It would also have to involve multiple kicks or punches with the intention of causing harm. In order to jump to an expulsion, it is important that the provocation is nonviolent. As someone who was picked on in school myself, I would never feel comfortable expelling a child who thought they were just defending themselves but accidentally went too far. If a child is cornered with no way out and they have to strike to protect themselves, they are never in trouble with me. If the child had a way out, but they strike defensively, they will likely get some kind of consequence to teach them to take the peaceful way out, but the consequence is usually mild. Selling, providing, or otherwise facilitating drug or alcohol use is more prevalent in schools than many adults may realize. In order to protect our children, some of who are as young as 4 or 5, we must take a hard line against kids who do this kind of thing. Understanding the levels of this problem is the key to a proper response. I've had many students over the years come to me and share that they have a problem with substance abuse or chemical dependency. In these instances, if they have contraband on them, I will not punish. These kids don't, these kids don't get in trouble. They get help. I've also caught kids with drugs on school property who are keeping it to themselves. In these instances, we notify parents, suspend, and contact the appropriate rehabilitation resources if applicable. The situations where I have to go straight to expulsion are when a student is spreading drugs to other kids. That kind of behavior is cancerous in as much as it can spread quickly and destroy multiple lives. If a child is spreading drugs to other kids, either by selling, sharing, or encouraging other kids to do drugs, I give leniency if the child will admit the truth when confronted and accept help. Otherwise, for the safety of our entire community, it is my duty as the school's gatekeeper to expel. As odd as it may sound, kids goof off and sometimes accidentally sexually harass each other. Whether it's making fun of someone for looking like a boy or a girl, slapping someone on the bottom because they saw it on TV, or kissing and unwilling someone's cheek on a dare, these things happen. Should these actions have consequences? Of course. These are primarily opportunities to teach and help kids build empathy, not indications that a child is a danger to others. The kind of sexual harassment that could lead to an immediate expulsion involves a child who is knowingly making another child uncomfortable. It may involve inappropriate, non-consensual touching. It may involve sexting. Either way, these are extreme behaviors that have no business in our school. It is my hope that by explaining our system, parents can feel more comfortable about their children's safety. I also hope that if anyone reading or listening to this has a child currently involved with our discipline system, knowing this information may help them understand that our system is geared around both compassion and protection for all involved. Even after knowing this information, many people have asked me a version of the same question. If Da Vinci Tree's rules are so reasonable, why is Da Vinci Tree expelling so many more students than the average school? The answer is not Da Vinci Tree kids are worse than the average. That is categorically untrue. Every year I take kids to Catalina Island Marine Institute in California, and every year our kids are the best behaved group there. So the truth is, I don't know the answer. I would never publicly attack another school. All schools in Tucson are on the same team. At the same time, I can say that I've heard stories that suggest that some schools may benefit if they adopted our methods. Our job is to focus on our kids, and I think we're doing that quite well. Thank you for your time. Please feel free to email me or give me a call if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.